So it's a nice quiet evening, and I've decided to make another recording. I know normally I don't record on the weekdays because I work more than full time, but I'm going to make a recording anyway. I got home a little early. So anyway, today's topic is another one of hypocrisy, and pretty much every one I touch on that has to do with the left is going to be hypocrisy. Um, so in this case, and this one's a little bit of a hypocrisy, and I think a little bit of somehow being blind. So, in the area of gun control, many of these people on the left tell us that there are certain guns that should only be in the hands of the police. And some of them will go so far as to tell us that only the police should have guns. These same people are the same people who will tell you that all cops are racist and all cops are out to shoot black men in particular, and really to shoot men, everybody that they come across anyway. But especially if you're a black man, they're gonna, they're gunning for you. Now let's step back for just a moment here, and I think it's kind of a shame that more people aren't pointing this out. The same cops that you're telling me are racist and are going to shoot everybody and are just looking for an excuse to shoot people are the same cops that you're saying are the only people who should have guns. Let that sink in for a second. So, tell me again how me giving up my guns makes me safer. The only possible thing that you could tell me that would make any sense at all is, well, if we took everybody's guns away, in order for this to work, you'd have to take all guns away from everybody and somehow pull it off perfectly. Well, then the police wouldn't have to be quite so trigger happy because they wouldn't have to worry that you might have a gun because they're the only ones with guns. Now, of course, what this gets us to is a monopoly on power, because that's really what the left is about. The left is about more government power. And the idea of firearm ownership, particularly firearm ownership for the purpose of self-defense, because I don't care about hunting. I don't hunt. Full disclosure, I'm a vegetarian. So, what purpose do I have for hunting? And actually, and I know I'm getting myself onto a side trail here real quick, but when I bought my 50 caliber rifle, one of my coworkers told me that it was a complete waste of money because it was completely useless to have a 50 caliber rifle. And I asked him why, and he told me, well, because you can't hunt anywhere in the state with it. Because in my state, you can't really hunt with that type of weapon. You're pretty much, for most of the state, you're limited to like shotguns, right? And I'm like, and he knows that I'm vegetarian, and I'm a big animal lover. And I'm like, why would I even have the ability to hunt with a weapon as a reason for me to buy that weapon? Especially if it came to something like deer, where I would sooner shoot myself in the foot before I'll shoot a deer. So why would I even be thinking about the usability of some weapon for hunting? So the guns I'm interested in are more combat oriented. They're target oriented. They're plinkers, stuff like that. My 50's not a plinker. Moving on from there. So, in that context, without understanding where I'm approaching this from is the kinds of weapons that you're not using for hunting, and the idea for having weapons like that implies the idea that the government is not the solution for all problems, and that lies the reason why the left doesn't like weapons like that. Because weapons like that go against their belief that the government's the solution. Oh, someone broke in your house? The government's the solution. And God forbid you would consider defending yourself against the government, because why would you defend yourself against this perfect government? Now, the reason why, now going on to, for instance, I am going to touch on the recent police shooting that has come to my attention. Now, from some descriptions that I've heard of this chap, and I don't know much on this shooting in particular, but it sounds like potentially he's not your typical run-of-the-mill thug. He has, for instance, a firearms owner's card, but he didn't have a concealed carry permit. And of course, people who are real far to the right are going to vilify him as, obviously he's a criminal because he's, carrying concealed without, the proper licensing for that. Personally, I believe your license to carry concealed is a 2A. And that's really all you should need, because anything else is an infringement. But that being said, let's think about where this is. This is Chicago. Okay? So there's a lot of dangerous places other than your home that you might need to protect yourself in Chicago. Good luck getting a concealed carry permit in Chicago. So it's highly likely that the individual, yes, he understood that he was breaking the law, and he decided, you know what? I would rather break the law and carry my gun than get, my skull smashed in by a gangbanger. Unfortunately, he ended up getting shot by the largest group of thugs on the planet, which is the police. Because in the end of the day, and I don't mean this directed towards any one officer, because when you get down to the individuals, most police view their job as, to serve the public, to make their communities a better place. The problem lies in the general concept of the police. The police are the physical embodiment of the government's force. So, in essence, what the police become is the enforcers for mob bosses. Because that's really, at the end of the day, is what the government is. For instance, the government comes to you and tells you, and they make a problem, and then they tell you, well, give us your money, and we'll make this problem, go away. Kind of like the guy comes into your shop with a baseball bat and starts smashing stuff and says, hand me money, I stop smashing stuff. And that's pretty much how the government operates, and part of the smashers that they have is the police. So it's nothing against individual officers. It's more something against the general concept of them in the first place. But moving on to how this pertains to guns, if you're on the left and you're crying, oh, this is racist police murdering yet another black man, then you had better not be the same person at the anti-gun rally with your sign saying that only the police should have these styles of weapons. Because the hypocrisy is dripping off of you, and I'm hoping that I'm not the only one out there who sees the hypocrisy of that. Now, in other news, you have Donald Trump on his little overseas trip. And by the way, I'm going to sum up the mainstream media's news coverage of Donald Trump for today. And actually, it pretty much sums it up for until today, and then every day until like 6 years from now when he's out of office. And they're basically, the summing up of their entire coverage is, and today Donald Trump ended the known universe. Again. So, these people cannot make up their mind. Which is it? Is Donald Trump starting World War III, or is Donald Trump appeasing dictators? Because when he goes and plays nice, smoothing over relations with nations that we don't really get along with, I'm looking at you, North Korea and Russia. You all cry, oh, he's, appeasing dictators, or he's in Putin's pocket. And then the moment that Donald Trump goes and, gives a little more fiery rhetoric, all of a sudden it's, oh, Donald Trump, he's leading us into World War III. Now, and one of my for anyone, because a lot of people accuse me, especially like with my birth parents and whatnot, they accuse me of getting all my news from Fox News. Actually, I never watched Fox News. I used to, and when I did, I was flipping between Fox and CNN. But the thing is, I no longer trust any of the mainstream media, especially seeing how many times they've been caught staging events that never actually happened to make you think that they happened. So I don't really trust the mainstream media. Um, Lately, and I'm going to start commenting on NPR more often. I don't agree with them most of the time. However, it's a news agency who's I get to listen to their radio broadcasts for a short period of time while I test drive customers' cars during the day. And there's a lot of various, little bits that I get from that. One of the things that they've been getting a lot at lately during Trump's overseas trip, particularly in the case of Russia, has been, and they show their shallowness so heavily here. So in one breath, they will tell you, yes, because they have to admit, even they have to admit this, the actions of the Trump administration have been very strong against Russia, against North Korea, and other nations that are not friendly towards the U.S. In particular, say in the case of Russia. In the case of Russia, Trump has either, and his administration has either, done a continuation of what the Obama administration was doing, or went further than what the Obama administration was doing. And even they have to admit that. But, and this is where Trump's words aren't hard enough. He talks to them, softly and whatnot. So, for these people, your words speak louder than your actions. Now, of course, if it was the other way around with Trump, they would be crying about that too. And I guarantee you, they have two scripts going already pretty much pre-made, and so that way, no matter which way Trump goes, they can still be indignant. So if Trump was talking fiery against Russia, but then behind the scenes was rolling back Obama's stance against Russia, they all would have been crying foul there too. And if he was going strong against them and speaking strong against them, they would have been going, well, there's something shady behind the scenes that we don't see, that they're hiding something. So, what I've come to a conclusion on is that when it comes to the mainstream media and Trump, literally no matter what he does or says, like he could take his entire playbook from Karl Marx, and they would still freak out as it's the end of the world, he's Hitler. And the reason for this, so let's step back and look at it. Let's analyze this just a little bit. Why are the elite freaking out so much about Trump? And the answer is really simple. The reason the elite are freaking out about Donald Trump is that Donald Trump is the physical embodiment of their loss of control. Because the elite who run the polls, who run the news agencies, who run the parties, they are used to picking and choosing winners and losers. Bush didn't get into office because of Bush. Bush got into office because these people let him. Obama got into office because these people let him. And they like people like Bush, and they like people like Clinton, and they like people like Obama, because they are establishment. They get in there, and they can be manipulated to further the goals of whatever the elite want. Now you get someone like Trump. What are you going to do with Trump? You can't bribe him with money, because he's got money. He's got more money than he knows what to do with. He's got so much money that in a single year, he pays more in taxes than some entire towns full of people will make in their lifetime. So you're not going to show up to him and be like, yo man, I got $4 million if you'll do this for me. He's going to look at you and laugh. Okay, so what's next? Well, maybe Maybe you dig up dirt on him. And these people say that, been saying that, oh, Putin must have some dirt on Trump. Trump doesn't care. Trump is a, 72-year-old man? I might have that wrong, but I think he's right around the age of my dad. So he's either somewhere between 70 and 72. And I don't have my phone next to me, so I can't look it up right this exact moment. But somewhere in that neighborhood. In other words, he's an old fart. By this point in his life, he doesn't care. He's in the most powerful office in the country. He's old enough that if he was like a normal politician, might be thinking what their aspirations afterwards. When he gets out, he's gonna be pushing 80. So he doesn't care. You're not gonna get him with oh well, we'll hurt your political career later. He doesn't have one later, so he doesn't care. You can't hold that over him. So then the next one might be you just make random junk up and throw it out there and see what sticks. He also doesn't care about that because he rolls with those punches. He rolls with them and then he dishes them out. And the funny thing is on the left, when he dishes them back, they all cry and see how much of a bully he is. Well, what have you been doing this entire time? So you can't get him with money, you can't get him with bribing him, and you can't even get him with making random stuff up. So what they've looked at is, and he doesn't rely on big corporations to get his message out. He doesn't need CNN, Fox News, MSNBC. He doesn't need any of them to get his message out because he gets his message out online independently. And because of this, they have lost control. They are used to steering the narrative however the hell they want. They are used to making it so that you see it how they want you to see it. And now they've lost all of that. And that is why you have the Republican never-Trumpers. That is why you have everybody on the left-wing media absolutely having a conniption over every little thing that Trump does. Because everything he does, not from everything he says, every action he takes, literally him standing in the White House is an affront to them. And is another reminder of how they've failed to control the country because the country ignored them and went against what they told the country to do and did what the country wanted to do. So, with that, I'm going to cut this off now because I know there's probably very few of you who are still here. I know how long people typically watch in my videos, but I got myself onto a rant. So if you're one of the few people who's still here, I tip my hat to you, and I commend you for your patience at listening to me ramble. And to you, I say good night.